Morning, legends. Round 7 is upon us. We're going to go through my little strategy, my trades, potential trades heading into this week. We do have to still wait for a little bit of news on Ty Webster and if he's going to be playing. And if that's the case, he will come into my side. And then it is just the decision at the moment between Menenga and Ulbrich, which I think Menenga will go. Just for the fact that if he does actually score basically what he did on the weekend with that 16, he will lose over 20k. Whereas Ulbrich here, he does have to break even at 22, but he can get into that sort of 15 to 20 range, and that's something that we can definitely see coming. Whereas Menenga at the moment, the role that he's in there with guys being out last week as well, he still wasn't able to score anywhere near where we need him to be scoring. So I think he will go. It's just more the fact that I do need to keep one of those guys as a center to keep on that bench spot there. So I think Ulbrich is going to stay. And in that case, Lepepe will have to go. Even though he has the double, I think he can score somewhere up near that 36. The only reason he didn't go well in that first game was mainly because of the foul trouble. And then he made up for it with that 25 there in that second game. So, a little bit unfortunate for him to go. I would rather it be Menenga and Ulbrich, but who I am going to be trading in is likely going to be Karim Lopez there. So, looking at his awesome effort last week with his 46 across the two games. If we trade him in now, we'll see here he has a lovely 7 break even across the two games. So if he manages to go pretty well and even just hit that 29, he's going to be sitting on my bench. So even if he manages to hit that 29 over the two games, it's probably a little bit disappointing, but it's still a 20k gain and is really nice for our side. And anything above that is obviously going to be gravy there. So Lopez gives me a bit of cash for upcoming weeks. But the interesting thing, if you're looking forward to round 8, is that we lose Cooks and we lose Jackson Cartwright as two guys that come off their doubles and move into a group of singles there. So for New Zealand, a couple in a row. And both those guys are going to be pretty well close to that 440, 430 mark there, which is wild because then we can get anyone in the game. And for this week for me is going to be a bench fix-up week, given I've got a lot of strong guys in my starting side, and it's really just that guard spot where if Webster is available, he will come in as that starter, and Henschel's role probably drops a little bit in value. And if Webster's not there, I think I'm just going to have to stick with Henschel as my guy as the starter this week on the double, and hope to get some decent scores out of Hickey, Glover there on the bench. Obviously Lopez with the double, and then I would be moving on. If Webster doesn't come in for that second one, you see I got 77k. I just move Menenga on with the 230 that I'll have available, and Henschel will come up to the bench in the forwards, and then Webster comes into my guard spot there. That's the pretty simple one there. Karim Lopez with Darling out again this week just gives him another little runway and a good chance for him to start in this one. And even if he comes off the bench, I think he should be able to get some good time out there, and he looked really, really good. And saw that stat there was he's the youngest and the quickest to get a double-double. And the youngest was LaMelo Ball, who's absolutely killing it with Charlotte right now. So really cool to see with Lopez, and hopefully he can come out and do well again. But Menenga will go to Webster, as I said. And if that's not the case, and we do hear a little bit about Webster, hopefully before that SEM game, I'd like to bring in Malik Lewis for Menenga. That would be my secondary option there. So Webster to get some good points on the field. And if not, if we do find out, at least a couple hours before the Perth game with Webster, then I'd like to get Malik Lewis in. So super simple on that one. And guys, as well, I'm a tiny bit sick at the moment. You can probably hear. I'm going to wait until I feel probably a little bit better or sound a little bit better tomorrow, or probably tomorrow. We'll get our first BBL video out, just my reaction on the new way of playing with the flex players, a few different things that are going to come out, and my reaction to some of the prices and some of the imports, just to keep things really simple in that first video. And we'll get plenty of BBL content out over the next couple of months before the first game on the 15th of December. So I will be captaining Cooks this week as well. It just looks like with Adam still being a game time decision, he's not going to have that massive impact in that starting role playing big minutes. So Cooks is still the guy. He needs to play some good minutes for them to get some wins, because they are struggling to get wins on the board, and Cooks is their best guy for sure. So, and he didn't even score well. He had 9 points on the weekend in that second game and still picked up a 36. So he doesn't have to do it just in the scoring. And it's obviously there's a lot on Jackson Cartwright to get his scores on a weekly basis. It just looked like Cooks was doing it much easier than PJC last week. And we're going to stick with that with the matchups as well. For New Zealand this week, it comes up against Adelaide, and we know Kendrick Davis he's turned on that defense, that's for sure. And they got good guys at the rim to help there as well. And then you got Melbourne in that second game, which is going to be the Shea Lee game. When he'd definitely be back in that second game, and Delhi there to play some good defense on him. So I'm going to go with Cooks on that front. Jack White is also in a good spot, I think, to be the secondary or third captaincy option. It's still those top three, and you've got guys like Doolittle, obviously. As I said, guys like Doolittle, guys like Pinder. These players looking like more of an option for me next week when I do look to remove at least one of, but probably the two of Cooks and Cartwright, and get another couple of those guns in. We'll see what's happening with my fifth starter spot, as to if we just trade one, use that cash to get a Doolittle or something like that, and use the extra cash to upgrade a Hickey to, or something like that. One of these Aldriches, use that extra 100k or so to get to different players. So we'll see how that one plays out. Obviously, if I do trade Webster in, I'm going to have sort of 30 odd K in the bank. So use that 30 plus the 80, 100, whatever it's going to be to get Cooks down to someone or PJC to someone, and go from there. We obviously have to see how the guard spot is looking as well. We don't want to leave ourselves too short in that spot down there. So that's my squad heading into week, guys. Short and sharp on that one. Let me know in the comments what your trades you're making this week, and I hope you have a cracking Thursday night there with the single game, and then it's a lot of doubles. You got 2 Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, and then the 1 Monday night game. So lockout lifting will be late that night, basically, as we go to sleep, and into the morning on Tuesday morning before a short turnaround into the Thursday night game the following week. But there's a few less on that one. So that's going to be plenty of fun this week with lots of games, lots of teams on the double. And if you have any questions around doubles and players to pick, then jump in the comments for that there. So see you guys. Have a good one.